How would you feel if our state legislators and our governor passed a law stating you could not negotiate with your employer about your salary, benefits, work hours, or working conditions? Well, that is exactly what happened to Ohio's teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other public servants when Senate Bill 5 was passed earlier this year. Those behind the bill claimed that it would help to balance the state budget in this poor economy. Protests and demonstrations for those who opposed the bill eventually led to petitions which put the debate on the ballot in the form of Issue 2. Ohioans overwhelmingly voted to repeal Senate Bill 5. The decision was a positive step for Ohio, and other states where similar legislation is being considered need to follow suit. Ohioans also need to be vigilant that such legislation is passed in the future, as bills are currently being written. Senate Bill 5 was centered around the claim that those working in the public sector make more than those in the private sector because of better benefits. This law has required public employees to pay 15% of their salary for health insurance, which was supposed to bring them in line with the private sector employees. In reality, some public employees already pay 15% or more of their salary for health insurance. There are those who do not, but the idea that all public employees get their insurance at minimal cost is a myth. Low-cost benefits balance out lower salaries. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, public sector employees with a 4-year degree make an average of $20,000 or less than those with the same degree working in the private sector. Those who favored Issue 2 claimed the opposite to be true and pointed to a study by Briggs and Richwine. But the close inspection of that study is biased and flawed. For example, the study attempts to put a dollar value on job security and factors that into the wages of public sector employees. The study does not make an apples-to-apples comparison. In the cases where low costs of benefits do exist, these help to balance out the differences in salaries between the public and private sector. While Senate Bill 5 would have affected all public employees, the effects would have been most visible to the general public with teachers, firefighters, and police officers. If teacher salaries are reduced because of the requirements of Senate Bill 5 and the disparity between their salaries and those in the private sector is greater, the profession will no longer attract many high quality and talented individuals. Senate Bill 5 will also eliminate tenure for teachers who do not already have it. While those in favor of this bill claim it will allow districts to fire teachers who are not performing, it is more likely the bill will be used to fire highly compatible teachers who are making higher salaries in favor of hiring new teachers for starting wages. In addition, teachers must prove themselves as qualified teachers before gaining tenure, so it is unlikely that a very poor teacher will gain tenure in the first place. Another requirement of Senate Bill 5 is a yearly evaluation of teachers and basing their compensation on performance of students. This raises many questions about how student performance would be measured. Teachers from school districts where students typically struggle due to economic and parental disadvantages would be at a huge disadvantage compared to teachers from affluent districts. This action could also decrease or eliminate cooperation among teachers because they would not be in competition with each other for funds. With this bill, teachers would lose the ability to negotiate for wages, hours, working conditions, and class size. School boards would have absolute power over their employees, which could hurt teachers and students. At least those in the private sector can negotiate individually with their employers. Many of the same concerns for teachers with Senate Bill 5 are also felt by police officers and firefighters, but the most significant concern is that police and fire personnel would no longer be allowed for a certain number of people on the job, which could impact safety for police and firefighters, but also for the general public. The legislators who favored Senate Bill 5, claimed the savings from this law would help to balance the state budget. Where would the money that was saved really go? In the case of firefighters and police officers, the savings would only benefit the city or county that employed them. The savings would not benefit the state and would be up to the local officials what would really be done with the money. In the case of teachers, the money saved would go back into the school district. The only way these funds would be recovered to the state would be to further cut education funding. The only savings that would come directly to the state would be from employees that work directly for the state of Ohio. This is a small number compared to the many public servants that would be hurt in this bill. Why is it that public servants have been singled out to balance the state's budget? Why attempt to correct this situation by burdening one of Ohio's most valuable assets, those men and women who serve the public? What about other ways to balance the budget? There are a number of other ways Ohio could balance its budget. Looking at the salaries, benefits, and spending habits of our government officials would be a good start. Eliminating the roadblocks that have been thrown in place to prevent development of casinos, which were approved by Ohioans, would be another positive action that would generate revenue. Ohio could also look at creating a higher tax on non-essential items such as liquor, cigarettes, junk food, and fast food. The point is, there are a number of ways to balance the state budget that are more effective than cuts brought about by Senate Bill 5. Ohioans made a good decision to reject Senate Bill 5, but the fight is not over. Other states have passed or are considering legislation that would hurt public servants. Ohio is in the process of writing legislation as we speak. As responsible citizens, we need to vote against and speak out against these issues as they arise. Do not let our government officials use those who protect in our lives and teach our children as scapegoats for budget problems. We can make a difference. We already did in Ohio.